Good evening, everyone. First of all, I have to say, Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Mr. Albert Benehan. I'm the chair of the Student and Family at the same time of the board member of Bristol School. I'd like to say thank you for everyone to be here. Thank you, all the staff. Thank you, Superintendent's office. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, John, to always be here to support. And thank you, everyone. I'd like, please introduce yourself on my committee, please.
Joseph Lombard, Secretary of the Board.
Thank you, Ms. Lombard, for being here. I know we have another committee, Ms. Akisha, but she's excused. She already told me days in advance she cannot make it, but I will talk to her later. I had to say thank you, welcome to Mr. Plana to be here with us. Thank you, Ms. Rocha, to be here. But part of my team, I know we have on the online, we have our chairperson, Ms. Bobby Brown. Thank you for being here.
No problem. Good evening, everyone.
And I know I have it's Lynn, she's online too.
I am here. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. I know we have more people online, but a little, once you introduce yourself and call you on going in in agenda. The first thing in agenda, I'm gonna have approval minute for December 19, 2022, and then I have approved that.
So moved.
I will second, and thank you, Mr. Lombard. Do you have any correction, any change, anything?
I was not in attendance, so no.
Okay. So all set, we all set on that. So I'm gonna approve the minutes for December 19, 2022. And we're going to second what's in we have an agenda. Second is the PAC and PTSO officers. I invite the 3 PTSO for presidents from Fairchild Wheeler School and the 3 principals. I like to welcome the 3 principals. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to come to the table in front of you here so we can speak much better. And I know you can give a little report and tell me the reason why we don't have our PTSO presidents or any officer. I know we're trying to have one online, but I know they're working with that. And then with Abba, right? So I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Johnson. If you can give me some information, what's going on with your PTSO in your school? Thank you for being here tonight.
Absolutely, thanks for having us. I think we've had a pretty good group so far. We've had a number of events at the school already this year. We had in November, we did a counselor / FAFSA college readiness night. We had some community members. Miss Holly Franquette came in from Housatonic. And then we also had a representative from Fairfield University come and kind of talk to the kids about the application process and different things along those lines. Hear some of that information. We had a multicultural night, which a couple folks in the room here were able to attend, and we appreciated everyone's support, from the Board of Ed coming out that night. We thought that was a great night. We had a STEM fair last week, last Thursday night, which kind of coincided with the superintendent's recognition ceremony. And as we've been kind of planning all these events, our PTSO has been involved in this. So we started out meeting as a PTSO for the campus, and since then we've been meeting about once a month virtually, just to kind of talk through what we're planning. We have a bunch of events planned for the coming rest of the year. We basically have an event per month planned for the rest of the school year. Some of those, I'm not, probably stepping on Mr. Chen or Mr. Lift's toes here a little bit, but we do like to try and run these events as a campus-wide thing. So in February, we're going to have a movie night with an ice cream social. In March, where there's going to be a PTO-sponsored dance for students. We also did one of those back in December. In April, we're going to be doing an SEL night, and we're still working on trying to get some speakers and community members to kind of come in and support some of that work. In May, May is screen-free month, so we're going to do a whole campaign trying to get kids and families to put their phones down and interact with one another. You know, we're going to do some board games and different things like that. And then we're going to do some senior activities in June. So we are also working to, they are going to be helping support some different initiatives to bring in industry leaders. As you guys know, we're a magnet school with an IT focus. So we're hopeful to bring in industry leaders that can kind of come in, talk to our students about how they got to the point that they're at, how they can use the skill sets that we're teaching, the different technologies that we have to kind of further their careers. So that's something we're looking to do. And then we're also hoping that, you know, with that partnership with PTO, I'm going to be talking to my PTO people about that at our next meeting. I have a couple things in the works for that, but they're, you know, we've been having these conversations for a couple of months now. But again, I think we're hopeful that we can leverage this into potential internships, different opportunities for students. So, you know, the PTO, you know, so far they've been great. They've been at all of our events. You know, it's been a great partnership so far. And, you know, majority of the folks on our PTO are freshman parents. I'm excited to be able to work with those families for the next couple of years to kind of keep things moving forward.
And what's the name of your PTSO president?
Our PTO president is Francine Gachette. She had the link. She was trying to get here. She wasn't sure if she would get here or not. And then Ms. Mitchell, I do see her online as well. She's our PTO vice president.
Who you said?
Ms. Mitchell.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Abba. I want to give you the floor so you can give us information how's everything with your PTSO, how's you're working, how you deal with parents. You got the floor.
Just to mirror what Mr. Johnson said, we're doing an excellent job so far. I know you have been to a couple of the events, you and Mr. Sokolovic, Ms. Brown, and Ms. Perrin, and I know you've been to a couple. And so, as Mr. Johnson voiced, everything is going well. We do have some events coming down the pike. He shared about the partnerships. I think it's a good start. And Mr. Johnson has been so supportive. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Benahan, for your support and for the board for their support. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why I'm always here to support all my PAC leaders and PTSO leaders. I appreciate it, you know, your hard work, and I know you are dedicated, you know, for the parents, especially for the students. I really appreciate that. And at the same time, I wanted both for you parents, congratulations about your son be the second place in the science project. So I'm very proud for that. So I want to put that for you, you know, everybody know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's it. And you said was the other person, your president?
Francine Gachette. I emailed back and forth, and he was trying to make it here. So
Okay. So I want to hear now for
Hey, good night.
how you doing?
Good, thank you. Good. Thank you, like Mr. Johnson said, for having us. I don't think I'm going to repeat everything he said because, as he said, we met as a PAC group for the campus back in October. I do have a list just so I don't have to share with you that kind of mirrors all the events that we have planned for the school year. Our PTSO president is online, Ms. Melissa Spite, so I would like to acknowledge her that she's there with us.
Okay, great. Are you there? You said Melissa, right?
Yep.
Are you
Yeah,
there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here for tonight. It's an honor. If you want to give some information how work in your school and how's everything with your parents and your workshops and everything. So we need to try to get an update.
Yeah, so we are pretty much the same as the update you just got. We have a night each month planned where the whole school is participating together. Mr. Tanner and I are also going to be working on some biotech individually organized biotech events as well. So we'll be able to update you on that pretty soon. Otherwise, I think the turnout's been really well received, and yeah, it seems like what we've done so far has been a success.
Thank you so much. Chairman, you want to add something else?
Just to, again, the support of the parents so far have been great. I mean, the turnouts to all the events that we've had, which culminated kind of last week in the STEM night, which I think blew all our hats off. We had, I'm going to say 400 to 500 probably folks on our campus at 7 o'clock at night, looking at science fair and capstone projects, art fair, and also we had our open house. So our new prospective students were able to come in and see all the great stuff that we offer there.
Okay, and you are the principal. What's
Biotechnology.
Yes, okay. Because I see here in the budget, and so far that you still have some money to spend.
We do. So far, we've spent 1,352. So we have approximately 3,528 left to spend, but that has been budgeted out, like the sheet that I showed you, for a lot of these events already. So it's not spent yet, but has been encumbered.
Yep. They said, so you have like a 35% spent. What? That's what I have. But you say you have this.
Yes.
Then maybe this will cover.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Because again, we've all looked at our budgets and combined to make sure we're spending across the board equally as best as we could.
But are your events as very together, or the different events?
The one I shared with you now are all together. Mr. Johnson shared where he's doing some industry-led pieces with his PTSO, and Ms. Spite and I and the rest of our PTSO are working on some of that as well.
Do you have a full PTSO board officer?
I do. I have a president, treasurer, vice president. At this point, my secretary, I'm still working on.
Sorry, you said you got a president?
President, vice president, and my secretary, I'm still working on.
And
She did not fully commit as yet, so she is supposed to get back to me.
And when was your last PTSO elections? They're new, or
These are the new ones. So this was done back in October. No, before, so end of September towards October, because when we had our first meeting in October, our folks were at the meeting.
Okay. And Mr. Johnson, the same question. You have a full PTSO?
We don't have bilingual representation at the moment. We were still seeking that out, but all the other board positions have been filled. Same to Mr. Chandler, we got together in end of September, early October. We took nominations, and we only had one person for each position. So it just kind of people who volunteered to serve in those capacities ended up filling those roles.
So how far who you got right now?
I'm sorry.
How far you have? How many officers you have?
So we have them all filled. So we have the president, the vice president. We don't have the bilingual secretary. We have secretary, treasurer, and am I missing? Yeah, so we have them all.
When you use your PTSO, I heard what you said, Mr. Chairman, you don't use treasurer. We don't use treasurer. So it's something that you can do coordinator.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Fundraising coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah, the word treasurer is a little complicated because have to be careful with that.
Yep. And we have somebody just came aboard last meeting to fill that position. So.
Sound good. I wanted
Okay, so my turn.
Nice, your time.
Okay, great. No, so I filled up my slate, folks, the same way. I just had people fill up and do that. My secretary, unfortunately, family got a job down in Texas, and so she has departed. I'm going to re-advertise that position, and my vice president has got a different job that she would like me to find someone to replace her. But my president is at a work conference right now, so she can't make it. And her name is Caitlin Cacciatore. And but she can't make it. She and I talk about 2 or 3 times a week about topics along those lines. We do things across the campus with all the folks as well as individually. So the events that you see there are there. One thing that we've done that was added since then is we've done principal's breakfast. So we get breakfast delivered to the school for the parents that can't come at night. All three of us, presidents, principals, and our dean of students, meet with the parents. Next one's going to be first week of February, and then we're going to be doing another one in May. One of the things that is different about our school is that we have so many unique, all three schools, so many unique electives that are related to the themes of the school. And the ninth graders in particular need to know which of the branches they're going to break off to, because all the ninth grades across all three schools are the same. So we're going to have a focus for my school on just what those electives and those pathways are, so that the parents know what the students should be signing up for. And since we're going to be doing that in April, we have that slated for March before they sit down with their counselors and say, this is the pathway I want to do. There's only one elective for 10th graders, but juniors and seniors have a lot more. So we want to go over what those are. It also helps us increase our enrollment in those courses and make those connections. And the last thing that we've seen, and as our open houses have been very productive this year. One of the things that a lot of the parents have gotten back to me is that our PTSO or PTO people or PAC people, along with the rest of the parents, are helping us with those recruiting. So a lot of people are referred to not only by our advertisements, but a word of mouth by people who are actually in the building. And so recruitment is for my school, is about threefold of what it was last year. And so it should be a very good outcome. So I appreciate the PAC presidents and the team members across the campus in helping us and help our recruiter make that happen.
And so far, your leader has spent the money.
Oh, because each school takes the lead on some of these items, and sometimes we split three ways. So I don't have an updated list, but we're about a little over 1,000 into it, but we have committed with our budget and our planning. This is my copy. It's not the signed copy that I submitted with the budget, but we committed and budgeted everything into this area to be able to make that work. One of the big expenses, we are going to buy board games and things like that for the parent night. We do have some with our social emotional learning money. We have some, but not if we have as many people as we did for our multicultural night, we're not going to be able to support that. So we're going to be using some of the money to be able to do that. And that'll be a one-time outlay of cash, but we'll be able to use that as we continue to do that, because that's a fun thing to do, because a lot of people don't. And if you don't mind me pontificating on something, one of my teachers have students create board games as one of their projects that they do for project-based learning. About a quarter of the students, when they come into that class, have never played a board game, because everybody does everything electronically. So this would be a good chance for them to get a little bit more experience with that. And also they'll be a little bit more creative when they come to making those projects.
Okay, sound good. Because I know what I got to update, and that is the information Ms. Rocha sent me. But you said you got $1,000 less?
I've spent, yeah. So we'll update this and we'll make our commitments to that, because we should be over as committed more than 50% now. We talked about this, and then our plan is to, when we meet with our presidents, is to commit as much as we can towards the end, because some of the other items like the senior night, the board games, or the what do we call it? We're calling it the screen-free night. That's going to consume about a third of the whole budget, those two events.
Yeah. I want to see that, because over here, my report that we see is like you only spend like 17%, like you got left like $4,000. So,
understand. We've never had more than $2 or $3 at the end, but we will do that.
One of the important things that you guys have to know, it's very important that this budget is first of all, I don't know what I heard you said, and now you say that when you say PTO. We're not PTO. And remember, high school are PTS, so parent to teacher student organization. I don't know where you're coming from about PTO. PTO is something different. PAC is elementary school. So sometimes I don't know whether they use the word PTO in the high schools.
I know we can't use PTA unless we join.
PTA is
And we've been
there's
using
organization
PTO
different
for-
that parents have to pay to be in that,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be a huge problem because you guys receive,
Right.
grant money.
I understand. So we can't join that. And so the PTO is what we've been doing for several years. If that's something we need to rename, we can.
I'm very surprised because high schools, they're always PTA, so. Correct that,
That's how I've always heard it. But is there a requirement for a student member to sit there or no? I never even thought of that.
it's still, yeah, students, this will be the part of that, yeah.
It's supposed to be a student on the,
Because
as part of the.
because the PTA did not,
Right.
is Parent Teacher Association.
Yeah.
So when we went to PTO, in order to not have to join that organization and spend monies that we would rather divert elsewhere, we went with that. So it's been that way for a while.
I think we've got to look at, because it has been called a PTSO as long as I can remember, but I don't remember any updates ever having a student representative as an elected. You're right.
Well,
Maybe that's.
I did 4 years in Bassing and then everything is all the time was PTSO, so.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I think that's something we need to look at on
Yeah.
on our.
I'm looking for because I know
Maybe get
it's
that.
always PTSO, so I confused over that, so I don't know how come they come at PTO, but one of the things very important that this money, this budget is for the parent to educate the parents, I don't want to hear because I'm getting tired and I'm tired to say this so many times that it's not, the money is not for the school or for the staff or for the principal. It's money, be sure we help and educate the parents for the school, So I really hate when they say, or one of the leaders say, oh, I never approved this. Why they use the money for this? Why the school use this money for this? Yeah. And that's the situation that I don't want it. I don't want to hear.
My president's not here, but they all approved the budget
Yeah.
that we set up and did. And it's broken down into things that we were incredibly hands-off for our meeting when we worked on the budget. We said, hey, this is what we've done last year. These are some of the things that worked. The timing to coordinate between all three schools was something that we worked on.
No, yeah, they use the money for the parent the way it's supposed to be and help the
Yeah.
parent. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna give the floor to me, Abba, you had your hands up?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to interject. I'm not sure if Mr. Johnson added this. I know I was a little late coming on, getting the link. We have coming down the pike, we wanted to, and I don't know, just put feelers out there if anyone can give some recommendations for a drug program for parents to be aware for their kids in high school. So I know that was something that under the old administration, something that was done, going to school. We did it together, I think I think you were involved, Mr. Benahan. I think they met at Central and they had a drug intervention program for parents, making them aware. Is this something that you talked about already, Mr. Johnson?
No, we didn't address that in particular, but we were looking at some of that. We still have some speakers to sort out through for our April night. And I think that would be one of the things that would kind of fall into that category, is trying to figure out what we want to do, who we want to bring in April to speak to the parents and students.
So if you have, Mr. Benahan, that information from last year, those people who came in, they were really good. I remember participating in that at the Discovery Magnet School. That would be one of the names that Mr. Johnson can, that's something for the parents. It will be kind of similar, light dinner. Of course, it's parent focused, just as you wanted. And parents can be aware of signs to look for, what to look for, how to support their child if there's a problem, and so forth. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Abba, great information. I would like to, please, I will go and trying to get information and we will go to a workshop like that for parents. Yeah.
If I could also just add, Ms. Gachette, who is our PTSO president, just joined as well.
Oh, hi, Ms. Katja, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
She's your president. All right, I'm gonna give you the floor so you can give information how everything's going with your PTSO and how you know working with your budget and with the parents. So you got the floor.
So far, there's definitely involvement with the team that we've put into place. We've had a couple nights already where we've had the parents and children together with food, and there's been a nice amount of people that have gathered with us. So it's been going all right.
That's good.
As
Great.
far, you want to know as far as like what we have coming down the pike, like we've established things that we were going to do with the kids throughout the year, and we did put in place a potential budget that we're going to follow for each event, and we're staying on track.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate your information, and remember that presidents and vice president and everyone, that Mr. Benham is always here. Any question, any concerns or something like that, or any workshop, or any somebody you needed for any kind of workshop. I'm always here, to help you guys. I don't want you guys to think like you are alone, because you are not. That's why I'm here myself, and then we have board members here. We're here to support you.
That's great. I've never done this before.
Yeah, that's okay. Any question, or if you don't understand something, of course, you can reach your principal, or you can reach me, anytime. So, and you're not alone. I don't want you to feel that you're lost. Not you, not only you, all the PTSO, but for one of each school, so they can know we're here to support you and help you.
I know Mr. Johnson communicates very well with us.
Yeah, I know very well, Mr. Johnson. He likes to communicate with everyone. I want to open the floor to my board members. Mr. Lombard, you have any question, any concern or comment, please?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Brown, do you have any question or concerns?
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, do you have questions?
I got
Of course.
the speech.
Okay.
I get this. The speech has no, may or may not have relevance to you. The speech has been given to all the principals because throughout our district, we have varying degrees of success and various degrees of efforts. But to be fair, every single principal gets the speech when they come here. Now, the reason we focus on money a lot is because money is one of the only measurements we got to the efforts of the principals in the building. We are not your supervisors as board members. Your supervisor is currently Dr. Perrin, Ms. Perrin. And we started this, get the funding back under Dr. Johnson, because when she first started, we had schools spending 0% of their budget. Now, you can't control how many parents show up at your meetings, but you darn well can control leaving thousands of dollars on the table. And you leaving that money on the table shows an entire lack of effort. My mom taught me never leave money sitting on the table, because that money evaporates and it's not used. Those dollars are missed opportunities. And some schools, principals don't like parents involved because they feel like it's an extra set of eyes, it's cumbersome, it's a pain in the butt. But our parents need to be looked at as partners, and properly run PTSO and a properly run parent group can make your jobs a lot easier. Get parents more involved, because one of the best barometers of success is parental involvement in terms of its education. We have struggles in Bridgeport to get total involvement, but that's why the money is so looked at and such a focus. And since then, money looks like it's coming. Oh, we don't have any more schools leaving zero, because through the superintendent, our employee brings it down to you. So when you hear the superintendent come and say, are you having meetings? Is this being done? Is that being done? That's from the top down. And that's where we stand as a board, and our board values is definitely increase parent engagement, because great number of board members have children that go through the system or currently in the system. And speech over.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. I appreciate that, and you are absolutely correct. Mr. Planner, you have any concerns or any questions? Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that, and hope at least when you do workshops or when you do any events in your school, don't forget to invite the board members. You know, we're here to support you. We're here to enjoy, like the last time, the Multicultural Day. We enjoy, you know, food was delicious, you know, and everything. It was amazing. You know, thank to you guys. Thank you for the PTSO's officer you have. And they put this together. It was amazing. You know, I like it. We enjoy it. It's superintendent, the school's parents said it was amazing too. So, you know, stuff like that, we like to go to support you. Like you guys now alone. And we appreciate that, you know, what all you as the principals and leaders they do for the schools, you know, for our parents. And you guys know so far, exactly you too, you know me, how I am when I'm our parents and, you know, and working together as a team. That's what we're here for.
We appreciate having you.
And we, you know, thank you for everything you guys you do. All right? Thank you so much, guys. So,
Thank you, guys.
So very appreciative. You're very appreciative. You know, I know, baby.
Come to coffee.
Good night.
Putting that out.
So, PTSO officers, I very appreciate that your amazing work. I'm very proud of you. Anything like I will say, you know, you need me. I'm always here. You're not alone. And please don't forget when you do events, invite our board members. We will love to go enjoy and support your events.
Always.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely include you.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Thanks.
Next in our agenda is going to be discussion and possible action regarding the final schedule and half a day. You have the Mr. Planner?
No, we were going to contact some students.
She's
Yeah.
she's online.
Oh, she's online. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry for that. And her name is, okay, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me. So what I'm going to do is just speak about the petition that's being made on behalf of the group of students that made it. And while I understand that we're currently in our final schedule with only 2 half-a-days, the group of students are actually hoping that despite this, we're going to be able to get the 4 half-days and 1 full day for our final schedule, possibly for the next semester and for the years to come ahead. So I have just a few things to say about the petition, some of the reasons that the students have, some teacher concerns that we received, and then in an email prior to this, I sent digital scans of signatures that we've gotten from students. So I'm just going to get started on some of the information that students have given me. So we as students are asking for one thing in particular, and that is to have 1 session days for the entirety of the 4-day finals period at the end of each semester. So I just want to begin by saying that it is not that complicated at its foundation, and it's something that we've done in the past, something that mirrors the same scheduling that we base our high school schedules off of, which is college scheduling. So what we're all trying to figure out is that how can students be expected to have a system modeled after another when we don't take into consideration the importance of the initial system? But putting all of that aside, this is something that we think is best for teachers and parents, and most importantly, students in Bridgeport Public Schools, specifically in the high schools. It's something that we care for, and it affects each and every single one of us. And a list of reasons that came about was, as I briefly mentioned before, our high schools are meant to mimic a college schedule. When we actually look into the exam times in colleges, students at college levels take singular exams in a day, and then they're free to leave, go back to their dorms and their homes to decompress and just prepare for the next day. And since the pandemic began and after quarantine and the returning of school, mental health in students and staff have declined greatly. And by keeping students in a stressful environment after taking an important exam will only cause it to worsen. We're looking at student depression, anxiety, and stress all increase because of their exams. And being required to stay after a 2-hour exam is something that we should not be doing currently. Another issue we've seen firsthand is a lot of behavioral problems that come about with these long days. Not only does a lack of break from school environment increase irritation, but because class curriculums are complete after finals, it leaves students with virtually nothing to do, increasing their behavior issues. And also, let me make it clear that by having full days, you're requiring students to stay for 3 periods after a long exam. This is a major contributing factor to burnout. I've seen firsthand students who have always had high ranks in school, they had the best grades, and they're now suffering from major burnout. Not only are they suffering mentally, but also their grades. And while on the topic of burnout, this isn't only a problem that affects students, but we're also seeing this in teachers. The stress and the time crunch for inputting grades and the lack of time that's given to prepare for courses in the new semester are all taking a toll on them. Even students have been able to notice the increased fatigue among their teachers and staff in school. I would also like to mention that in the 4 years that I've been in high school under Bridgeport Public Schools, I've never seen students more burnt out and exhausted during their exams until now. Students are struggling to stay awake by the time their exams are over, and we're expecting them to go through the next 3 periods of school perfectly fine. And I personally believe that it's unacceptable. In previous years prior to the pandemic, final schedules have been one full day that allowed teachers to do a review of their courses and help students prep for their exams and projects, with the following days being 4 half days. This schedule has worked for years, not only for students, but teachers as well. We've seen problems rise during the 2021 and 2022 school year when the schedule was changed to a week of full days. And when exam schedules fell on the half days, students were performing significantly better than they are now. And as I stated before, I attend the Aerospace and Hydrospace Engineering School at Fairchild Wheeler, and we were the only school that had shown improvement in test scores, and that came at the cost of students. And this is following the pandemic. Students pushed through, but they still struggled so much, so I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been for students at other high schools. Why are changes being made at the expense of students' mental health and well-being? And why are decisions being instituted despite it causing a decline in academic performance? When changes are made, they are meant to improve things, not worsen them. So we ask that you please try and work with us in trying to create a better learning environment for students, because this isn't something that we just want, but rather it's something that we need. Thank you.
Walker, you was ready to give this report. You was ready, very good, thank you. I appreciate that. That's the way I like to hear the report. But you was all set. You was boom. I'm ready for this, give the report. I'm going to read the floor of the committee. Do you have any question or concerns, Mr. Lombard?
Yeah, just so for my clarification, and I'm not sure if I'm asking you, Lindsay, or if I'm asking someone who's there representing staff. This is a recent development. The last couple of years it changed to full day, where before it was half day. Is that the case?
Yes, so following quarantine and the pandemic, our schedule changed to full days, but prior years before the pandemic hit, it had always been 1 full day and 4 half days, and that schedule has worked.
Okay. And then, so you said there's 3 periods for the second half of the day. So the exam takes up the equivalent of 2 periods or 3 periods in the morning?
Yeah, it takes up approximately almost 2 periods.
Almost 2 periods, okay. And so what's happening now is the students are going to their other classes for the rest of the day. They're actually going to their other subjects.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. All right, and then I know I'm asking you a lot of things, but so one of the things you mentioned is that in the prior schedules, since it was a half day, it also released the teachers to either grade or do what they had to do because they weren't teaching class. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. It allowed them to prepare for the semester coming up and also get in any grades by the end of finals week.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, that's all my questions for right now. Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Ms. Brown, do you have any concern or any question to Letty?
Yes, my question is, she said that this was previously before the pandemic that put it back into motion, as far as the pandemic is the reason why the class schedule has been all full days, correct?
Yes, it was changed the year following online schooling when everyone began to return to school.
Okay. I'm not sure who my other question would be directed to. What was the change? Was it the students coming back or the learning loss as to why the schedule remained full days? Is that Mr. Planis or?
I mean, prior to the if you don't mind, I can answer. Prior to the pandemic, throughout the high schools, even before we went to block schedules, midterms were always half days. When we went to the pandemic, there was concern about learning loss, and a lot of teachers, because they were doing, during the pandemic, they weren't doing final exams because the kids weren't with them. They were home, or during the hybrid, they were home. So a lot of teachers completed projects instead of final examinations, so that they wouldn't have, because it'd be very difficult to practice something that was at home. And the thought process was done. I'm not sure who in central office decided that they were going to go to full days, vice to half days. Last spring for finals, at the end of the year, those were half days. So it's jumped around a little bit, and I don't necessarily know why. I know my teachers trying to grade, 25 some odd finals to get those done after school, after a full day, that goes beyond what they typically have to do. And they also are concerned because they're all teaching new courses next semester. So that's the preparation for that, making sure the syllabi is right, all the things that are necessary with that. So I know that there is some stress with that, so I can echo Lindsay's concern because I've heard it from my staff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you, Lindsay. I guess the next question would be, is if this is the same for your specific school, I'm wondering, is this across the board for all of the high school programs? Are we aware if this is the same process, or is just for one school?
All schools have the same, I don't know if I should answer this or not. Yeah, all high schools have the same schedule. So originally it was going to be all full days, then it went 2 half days, and then 2 full days, and then it flipped to 2 full days followed by 2 half days. So today was a half day for the students, and they left after lunch.
Okay.
And tomorrow will be the same way.
I guess so. Then my other question would be, and I'm not sure if this is the right question for this committee, but the question would be is and I understand your plight, Lindsay, completely. My thing was we would need some type, because if learning loss was the main issue that was brought up amongst the teachers during the pandemic, or not just the teachers, maybe it's the state of Connecticut or just all of Bridgeport, I personally think there may need to be some data to support how that has changed the transition back into the district. And if learning loss has either increased or if this situation has decreased or increased, to be able to support something like this. Now, I could be out of order in expressing that right there, but I'm interested to see how we could either have numbers to either understand or support that, so that before a decision is made, the board has, an outline of where has this impacted or not impacted our students and teachers. Does that make sense? Am I making sense to you guys out there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
understand. Mr. Brown? Okay. Something else, Ms. Brown?
No, I would just be interested, Mr. Benahan, whether that's teaching and learning or that's the full board, to look in to see what data is being collected that since the pandemic up until this very present time, how could we support something if the board is going to go on that way to support something like this? And that this may be premature in speaking on this now, but it's just, the thought behind it of figuring out what steps we would need to take to receive data in order to know what to do next.
Yeah, Mr. Lombard.
Thank you. So the other thing, in addition to learning loss, was the idea of giving the opportunity for project-based assessment and not being able to do the exams. I don't recall when we voted to change this to full day, if this was a board decision when this happened, but maybe that'd be something interesting to pull up the minutes from when this happened to see what was presented to us at the time, because it may just be that it was a necessary change at that time, which we just kind of have to catch up now and put things back where they were. It may be something as simple as that. If it's not mainly driven by the learning loss issue, and if it was also very much so driven by practical terms of not giving the traditional exam and doing the project based like was explained. So that would be interesting to know also, what were the things that were brought to us as to why the change had to happen. And then also, it sounds like there's probably desire from faculty for this to go back to how it always was. I would say always was. I don't know if it always was that way, but how it used to be. It's like, you know, when masks were necessary for quite a while. They were important, very important, even more so then than they are now, although they're still important in some situations. But everyone's not wearing masks in school anymore, and so it's a similar thing. We had to make a change because of the pandemic, which maybe now we need to remove that change and go back to how things were. So that would be maybe something helpful, is to have the information that was brought to us, if we in fact were the ones that made this change, you know, what was brought to us at the time, so we could reassess it. So.
Thank you,
agree
Mr.
with that
LeBar.
as well.
Mr. Plana, you have the floor.
Yeah, I was thinking that prior to the pandemic, we had more periods. And so the whole week was needed. We did 2 periods a day. We were testing 2 subject matters a day. Because we had a lot more periods. We had 7 periods. So you needed 4 days for the testing and then some time for the makeups. When you have 4 periods, now you have only 1 test a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so you only have 4 days of testing.
Yes.
And I believe some students may have, and correct me if I'm wrong, do they have 3 days? Some students have 3 periods, or they all have 4 periods? They all have 4 periods in your schools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of seniors that may not be ready to graduate, and so they don't need to have a full schedule, but most students have 4 classes.
4 classes. Correct. So you have, you know, if you take 1 test a day, that 5th day is more for anyone that needs a makeup or anything like that.
Okay.
And that's why I think they did the full day on that 1 day, half days on the other.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Mr. Sokolow?
Yeah.
Was yours?
We approved the general school calendar. The high school half days don't appear on a general school calendar, but because it's calendar and scheduling, it does fall under our purview and our power should we so decide to return to half days. Now, listening to the presentation here, I really don't need data, because the data I really would be looking for is, are students engaged after taking their final exam? Are they actually learning? Once you get your grade is what you're shooting for the whole year. Once that's in your pocket, are you going to pay attention? How much are you actually paying attention to that additional lecture? How much effort, God bless all our teachers, are the teachers putting into those lessons when they've got all these tests to grade? And the data I would really need to see is how it's affecting social and emotional, which it sounds like it's stressful for all parties involved to have these half days. I mean, to have these these half days be changed to full days. And I think we could probably, with not too much trouble, go back to half days, because also an additional consideration is, we speak of the seniors having a full day after their exams. I don't know how prevalent this is in this district, but you're always hearing about senior mischief days and senior mischief time. So kids that would have normally been sent home in the school in their last year, you never know. I mean, it might be something definitely to look at, something to bring up at the full board for maybe a vote or discussion with the superintendent, see how she get her input as well, because it is a different superintendent from the superintendent who did put this in place. And looking at if I may, through you, Mr. Planas, do any of the principals in this room find any objection to returning to half days?
The point about, you know, a kid takes a period 1 exam on a Monday and then he has to go back to period 1 on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday. I think a lot of times everyone just kind of look at each other like, well, I've already done everything I've had to do for this course. Maybe there's some makeup work, but it's not the rigorous work that we would like to see. And that's just the reality of that finality of that exam, the kids feel like they're done. I think that's.
So it sounds like it's the support from at least the Fairchild campus principals, but we still got the comprehensive high schools. And I don't know how they would feel. Perhaps they should be polled as well, because if they're in agreement, I'm sure the students is basically a no-brainer. You know, they all love half days.
You know, of course, yeah. I wonder if you need one test a day. I agree with the half. I mean, I would say that the half day it's important for the reasons that they're mentioning. But will we need to give up those days just to fit all the schedule for this purpose, or can we do two tests, and then in 2 or 3 days we have the testing already completed? I wonder about that, and then make them half days, and then the marking period begins. Right? I just I wonder about that, and I know we were conversing in that regards, because in 3 days you could then have the testing completed. You only have 4 periods. Before, we used to do it in 5 days because we had 7 periods. So you could have the testing done half of the time.
Yeah. Ms. Brown, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I had a question. Mr. Planis, do you know how this affects attendance? So, for example, when I was in high school, which was a while I was in high school, I had a job my senior year. So by the time that testing probably finished at like 12, but I had also finished all of my major courses. So I was out of school by 12:30, and I was able to go to work after school probably by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, because all of my testing was finished. And they weren't, at the time, they weren't sending us to any extra class. I don't know, like I said, maybe the half days was also something that was put in hardened back then, but I'm just curious because our students attendance falling because after they finish their tests, they're either leaving off campus. Is that an issue that we're seeing as well? To say, like, students are like, well, why am I coming back to class if I've already finished out all of my testing?
What I would say is, if I had a free period for example, and I'm a senior, and that was the day that I had my test and it was a half day, I truly don't have to come to school on that day because I don't have an assessment on that day. So I cannot give you a concrete conclusion, but I could tell you that as you know, as a person, and I will ask my colleagues in that regards, that my students, when they didn't have a test in Basic and Central, when I taught high school, they didn't come to school on those days.
Okay. Thank you.
Because they didn't have an assessment on those days.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
A question about that. So how would it be where if they have 4 classes that they would not have an assessment on a given day if the assessment's in the morning? Wouldn't there be one class each day one test each day for 4 days?
For 4 days, that's correct, yes.
So there would always be a day where there's a test, and then other than the one full day when there's no testing.
Right, and unless they were seniors and they didn't have a period 4.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Or an upperclassman and they didn't have a last period. But like Mr. Lip mentioned, those are at these schools, they're far few. I know in the traditional schools we have a little bit more than at Fairchild Wheeler.
I have understood the Melitza. You have your hands up. You have the floor.
Yeah, so I understand this is just backtracking just a little bit, but I understand that you guys were just curious as to whether other schools felt this way. While I wasn't able to get the petition in other schools, I do have contacts within schools at Harding, Central Magnet, and Basic. And speaking with some of the members at Student Council and just students who attend the school, a lot of them share these same concerns. And then adding on to what Ms. Brown said about students working and stuff, a lot of upperclassmen, and even I know a few sophomores, work jobs on these days as well. So then you're adding on to the stress of having, I know it was proposed that maybe having 2 exams in one day to try and knock them out. I don't think we should be focusing on trying to just get the exams done as quick as possible, but trying to find a way for students to be able to complete these exams in a timely manner while also being able to perform well.
Thank you. Look like you ready to be the next board member or maybe superintendent of school? Wow. Yes, Mr. Lombard, you want to say something?
Yeah, so is this happening quarterly or by semester?
By semester.
So it's twice a year?
By semester, yeah.
Mr. Plana said by semester.
Twice a year, yes.
Thank you.
Finals are currently happening.
Yeah, January and June, so twice a year.
Do you have any concerns? Anything to ask or add?
The only the concern that you brought up about taking 2 tests in one day, the trouble is at our school, we couldn't feed everybody in the time frame necessary. Our cafeteria only holds 700 kids. 450 kids if they're seating for lunch. So it'd be very difficult to feed everybody unless we extended past the normal release time for a 2-hour exam. So with one, what they do is the day before the class, they have after their final of the day is the review session for the final they're going to have the next morning. So that we have their attention, and it's not a class that they've already finished academically and are like, why am I, in the class, or, why am I still here doing that, as Mr. Sawalek said.
Okay. Rush, I forgot to ask you, you had anything to say? Yes, Mr. Lamar.
Yeah, kind of what you were just saying. What about that? If it stayed a full day, what if, I guess maybe our minds are best in the morning, but what if there was the review in the morning and the exam in the evening, and the afternoon, so give for each exam, just something to throw out there. Any thoughts on that?
Mr. Plana, you have
Typically, we want to give time for students to practice in advance. You don't want to cram in. But if you're talking about like an exam that you will take the next day, that's also a possibility. I think that the issue with the lunch will come into play because now you're using the same amount of time, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So how long?
Yeah, yes.
How long are the exams? 80 minutes?
Well, some of the exams are 2 hours, so we have a 2-hour block because the normal period's 80 minutes, but all the UConn exams, BC classes require a 2-hour exam, and they're scheduled throughout the day, not just one specific period, because some kids take multiple of those classes. So all of our exam blocks are 2-hour blocks. So they'll come in, take the exam, and then depending on what school they're in, they'll either go to lunch or they'll go to the review session. One of the schools breaks up that lunch period and they have class before lunch and then class after. And so that'd be very difficult to stop an exam and restart the exam and be able to feed everybody. Alternative would be to have bag lunch, just like we do for standardized testing, but that fits the need of nutrition, but it doesn't make the students happy.
And it's different for the traditional schools because they don't have as many of those classes in their repertoire. They do have some, but not as many as Fairchild Wheeler. But a 2-hour class becomes cumbersome because they have, I think it's 80-minute periods altogether. It's very different. Mr. Chandler, you could.
No, I'm saying
80 minutes?
8 minutes all day.
80 minutes.
Schedule was
Wow.
So
Yes,
my thought is that some proposal coming from the schools should be brought to us, maybe in teaching and learning, or so we can actually see how it would work. Because like you're pointing out, Mr. Planis, there's different considerations based upon scheduling and so forth at the different high schools. So you could see where this would work across the board. It could be something that could potentially move forward with. We'd have to look at how it would actually play out. So I think that information would be helpful as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar. Mr. Sokolow?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Lombard. There's no time pressure on this thing because fine, we definitely wouldn't be able to be done this year anyway. I'd be interested in it actually appearing either on teaching and learning or back on students and families because it's still a student-centric industry, but it's also teaching and learning. Having our principals from the comprehensive high schools come because we've already got the input from magnet schools with the exception of Central. And Central, and they got the same principal, right?
No, Mr. Crab. Yeah.
Right. So if we get the other 3-4 principals in here, and they're all in accord that this should be done, I don't even think it would probably need to come to a board vote. I think the superintendent would take the advice of all her building leaders, students, and teachers, and make that change as is her prerogative to do on her own as well.
May I make a suggestion, if I may?
Yeah.
We could actually get together prior to that, and we could have a collaborative conversation with Dr. Jenkins, who's not included in this conversation, and all the principals from the high schools, and then come up with a good proposal, with the superintendent's blessing, obviously, and provide that as a presentation. I think that might be
That's a better idea.
the better way to go.
Ms. Letson, you have your hands up? Oh, sorry, Ms. Brown, go ahead.
No, I was saying I agree with that. And then, I know that Lindsay had already started the process on, getting signatures, but maybe just seeing how all of the students in the district would feel, high school students will feel, like take a temperature check of what that would look like for them as well. I appreciate Lindsay for speaking, on the behalf of those that she can, but it would be really interesting to have that as well so that, that could support the argument as the principals are preparing to meet, whenever that time comes.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Lisa, I know you have your hands up. You want to add something else?
Yes, so I see that there's a concern that some high schools have a slight difference in their exam periods compared to Fairchild, but I'd also just like to bring back emphasis on the fact that prior to the pandemic, that this schedule worked for all schools across the board.
Thank you. Let's I have to say thank you and thank you for your time to come to my committee. First of all, to be in the board education meeting, now to my committee. I know from here, Ms. Brown and the board with the staff and teachers will try to decide what they're gonna do. But I just want to give applause. Thank you for stepping and be a great leader. Represent Bristol School. I'm very, very proud. So you will hear from us as soon as possible.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. So next on the agenda, I'm having my best part. Ms. Russia of the Pagan PTA update of the budget percent of the elections of each Bristol public school. Ms. Russia, and sit down with us in the front. You have a presentation too.
I do.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad we had a voice. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for everything you guys do.
All right, so here we are with our PAC and PTSO update for our parent involvement budget. So I just tried to give some comparison to where we were at last meeting and where we are now, so we can kind of gauge our growth. So at the last meeting, we were here right before the holidays. Oh, that's coming. Okay, so right now, 8 schools are approaching or at benchmark. So I think right now we're supposed to be about 65% spent based on those benchmarks. 7 schools are exceeding the benchmark and 2 schools are at 100%. So for our elementary and middle schools, right when we met for the holidays, we were at an average of 32.2%, and now we're up to 52.1%. So quite significant gains in a month. I think so we are closer on average to being on track for elementary and middle school. And so I'm looking here and not moving along here. So there we are. Whoops. There we are. So 32.2% in December, currently 52.1.
It went up a lot.
Yeah, in 1 month.
Yeah. Good.
And so here we are for our high school allocations. Again, in December when we met, we were at 20.7. Currently, we are at 38.6 on average. So we are still behind a bit for our high schools, but in a month made quite significant gains. So hoping that we continue to make those to get back on track. So here are our expenditure benchmarks. So as we discussed, January, we're at 65%. We're getting pretty close to February, where we are expected to be at about 80% spent. I know that this is repetitious, but I think if there's anyone that's joining the meeting that hasn't been here before, it's important to understand that there's a lot of support for parents to help with the budget with Lynn and I. So we support them through a Teams with shared documents and a space for collaboration. We have an email distribution list where we share information with them. We have our monthly PAC and PTSO roundtables with the superintendent, where we share community resources and invite not only parent leaders, but all of the parents that are interested in attending and learning more about the opportunities in our community. One-on-one budget and planning support. We offer parent leaders come to City Hall and meet with us, and then direct outreach to parent leaders. So when we see that there's a school maybe that is significantly lower than where it should be, we'll reach out to that school to offer support. So we had one of the agenda items, Mr. Benahan, you had asked about the P10. And so Lynn had reached out to our grants department because the P10 that you had shared with us has now been moved onto an electronic. And so Lynn reached out to the grants department to get a step-by-step process for parent leaders to understand how to access that P10, how to complete the P10, and what the process is like to add an additional layer of support. And so we put these guidelines together for the parent leaders, and Lynn has shared it with all of them, and we'll continue to help them to. The only thing, Mr. Benahan, and I think we had kind of gone back and forth about this, is the P10, you had hoped that there would be a paper trail, a paper copy. And so we were thinking that when the administrator submits the P10 electronically, they receive automatically a copy of that. And so that would be a good opportunity to print that out and then add it to a binder, as you had suggested, would be best practice. And so this will cover us as far as having a paper trail, a running record, and a binder of all of those submissions.
This is the one is in the package, this one you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, because this is the one, like I say, I did it for so many years. Why? Because it's this one you have a record. And two, that I'm always saying this, I'm not gonna stop just saying this. We got PAC leaders in PTA, so they wanna be leaders, all right? They wanna have a title, but at the same time, you need to work. Not only the secretary had to do a lot of things, because I know the secretary from the school, they have their own job, they have to do so many things, plus they have to do this. I know they have the P10, the form start, the one have to send to Dancer to get approval. But then this one, the PAC leader for each school, and this is the one I'm telling you, I'm using it for almost up to a year, is I have a record, that the leader had to sign this. The principal had to sign this. And of course, whatever they have to order, they have to be in the description, how many, how much they cost, and everything. So not only have the leaders there sitting down or do something that everything's coming from heaven. You got my point? Mm-hmm. So as I know the secretary do a lot of things, I don't want to get the secretary got too much pressure, but with this one, you attach him with the code, and then you give it to the secretary. And it's very, I'm telling you, it's more easy because the secretary is easy to see what's going on here, to see, and then she send it, and then because they have a code and they have the P10, and this is a more that the record that the principal and the PTSO or PAC leader, they know how much money they go so far.
Right.
You don't need to go downtown. They don't need to go this. They don't see find out how much money I got, who signed this, who gave approve. You know, the last one of the meetings I had here, and one of the PAC president asked her, "Oh, you spent $135." And she was in shock. She said, "No, I never spent that. I never know that. I never give it permission for that." I said, "This is the reason you had to have a P10. You know, so you can have a record. Okay, the $135. The principal, they can say, yeah, you signed it. Let me check it out for you. You remember this day?" So the principal and the leaders have a copy of this. It's just very important. It's very easy, and then we don't have no issue that, oh, somebody touched my money. Who spent it? Who gave it permission? Who signed for me? Because trust me, Ms. Russia, we so many years doing this, and Mr. Soccer was part of that. We got things that say, who signed for this? I never signed for it. And we got people, they use the signature from the PAC leaders. And I don't like that. That phone feel that's a price like you do something nice and I put Ms. Russia. You know, you're gonna be telling me, Mr. Bernard, why you put my name there?
Right, right.
So we don't want that. We don't want that.
Okay, so definitely agree. So I think we can, when we share this guidance about the process, we can add that document, attach it to it, and maybe make it a link to get.
Of course,
directly
it's
to
like
there as
something
well.
is more easy. You know, this had to be out, and trust me, 100%, Ms. Russia, that it's gonna be easy to you see where the money go.
Right.
You know, nobody can say, "Oh, you ordered this," or I want to give you permission for this. No, everything is here, black and white.
Right.
You know, because when you don't want something like that, I hate when I made this order, who gave it the permission? So now they gotta go downtown. The secretary had to go downtown. We had to wait for the email. I had to proof from the principal. It's a process.
Right.
But when you have this in your hands, the principal had copy and the PTSO, the PAC had copy. You don't need to take all that to go to downtown.
Right.
Everything's here, you know, black and white.
Right.
So far, give me 1 second. Ms. Lamar, you have any questions so far?
Yeah, is there a something that's centrally accessible, that's electronic, that could be stored? You know, I heard Mr. Benahan, I heard you said that you had said you wanted a paper trail, and that may be the best thing. However, at the same time, my entire professional life has gone electronic, and it actually is very very helpful because anyone can access from anywhere. It's not just one person or two people having a physical copy. It's something that's accessible from any device. So I was just wondering if that binder could be a virtual binder.
I didn't hear the last part of binder, what?
Yeah, she had mentioned putting it in a binder, and I was wondering if that binder could be virtual.
That binder we call, because I remember when Webster School was open, my son was a first grade, we call the Title I book. That's the binder that every time that any leaders have any event, you put it in that binder Title I book. Let's see, as a board member, or there can be people from Hartford, they can come and say, let me see your Title I book. Let me see how far you have been using your money.
Right, I understand, and I'm suggesting that book could be a virtual book, which could be not located in one place, but located anywhere someone logs in to access it. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Ms. Brown, you have any concern or question?
No questions or concern. I agree with all that you guys are sharing.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Just, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I like the electronic thing, but I would probably suggest an additional item in the explanation, like what to do if there's an expense that you did not approve. This way, when they say an expense, I didn't approve that, they contacted me, I did not approve this expense and it's not here, because the additional layer of just having it electronic, it's a little easier to, I guess, from the past experience where we've actually had literal forgeries, to forge it if you're pushing a button. So an extra layer of oversight that I authorized this button to be pushed. Just show. I mean, I hate to think the worst, but sometimes people do something not for nefarious reasons, per se, but because they think it's the right thing to do for the school and or whatever have you. But it's the parent-controlled money, so the parents should always control the outcome, the use of that money.
Sure, we can put something in there that
Good.
directs where they should go, who to contact if they have some concerns.
Yeah. Second?
And so the.
I'm sorry, Ms. Plana, you have something? So oh, no. Oh, Ms. Lynn, she's still there?
No, she had another engagement. So
Okay,
she
no
had.
problem, thank you.
And then the last piece is the PAC and the PTSO roundtables. Our next one is February 22nd, and it will be held at Park City Magnet. And we are developing the flyer for that now, and so we'll share it with the board members once.
So what, we don't have one this month?
It was scheduled for the same day as the community events for the BASIC and BMA, and we didn't want to create an opportunity where a parent couldn't attend one or the other. And so we wanted to make sure that the community event about BASIC and BMA was accessible to all families, and we weren't conflicting.
Yeah, I know Ms. Lynn send that in though.
Right.
Parent Square, you know, I mean, ask her, you know, we can change at least the day, that 2 days before, the day after, but she never answered me back. She never answered me back. But I understand that sometimes when you see parents, you invite so many things, like you said, let's not, parents say, oh, I have to go out, I have to go this. So I understand now I understand, and thank you for clarifying. Let's put parent focus more, go to this forum, you know, about BASIC and BMA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't want them to miss an opportunity because there was something else at the same day and the same time.
Yeah. And please don't forget about this flyer that Mr. Bennett is gonna do a raffle.
Yes, okay.
I hope it, so I can bring parents, you know, and enjoy it with them.
I think the only other things that were on my agenda, we submitted the updated PAC and PTSO and SGC. That's the most updated information we have collected from the administrators as far as where they are. And then at the last meeting, you had requested information about their elections. And so I believe that was added to the packet, a document.
Yeah, because, okay, I know you cover now, the next thing in the agenda is the SGC update list on the staff. So this is more the update right now because, well, over here it said 128 in 2021. So that's why sometimes I confused. And every time I ask you for this, I still receive the same one. So I'm a little confused because they said, you know, on the top, 128 2021, we in 2023 already. So
Yeah,
I feel why they,
Is it a template?
It is a template that we use, so it's very possible that date has not been updated, but I will definitely go back and make sure. I believe I can actually pull it up right now. I believe that document is correct, just that from a prior template.
Probably the header, header that.
Oh.
Yeah. And also, if the principal send you the information that this is what we have a PAC and PTSO leader stuff like that, and I'm checking what you can send it to me, let's say 2 months back, because I put from November, December, this month, it's still that they have the still president, they still have the same people running the school, and they're not. And then I don't know why the principal said, yes, we still have it. And they don't have it. They don't have it because I contact that person. So I'm like, why they send you something? Because it's not your fault. Because you're not going to go to all the school to figure out who's the president, But why they send you something that is not true?
Right. What we did just started doing, we now have a new district communication form. So Dr. Jenkins has created a form where all of the directors put in their information, because principals get a lot of emails. And so we're trying to be more intentional and helpful with the way that we communicate from the district level. And so we've added that the SGC and the PAC document to that district communication. So I think it's every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
It goes out, and we added it to that document. So it will be a reminder for them to update that information. So we'll see if that helps with some of the updating of the information.
I want to open the floor for now. Mr. Lombard, you have any question?
No, thank you.
Ms. Brown, you have any question, concern?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Of course. Is it possible to bring up on the screen the school governance council responsibilities?
I don't know if that was I don't believe that was in the packet. I'm thinking.
It was in the packet itself. I don't know if it's a separate slide or if it's just in the packet itself.
Yes, in the package.
And it immediately follows the long list of school governance council. It's in the board email packet.
Yeah. You have like a blue top, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes, sir.
Yep.
What's the name of it again?
School governance
School governance
council's
council
responsibilities.
responsibility.
Show them the place so you can recognize it.
Look, guys.
In the meanwhile, I could actually read out what I'm referencing. Per Public Act 12-16 of 2012, school governance councils and commissioner network schools. This is going to be important in a minute. The turnaround committee established for schools in the commissioner network shall consult with the school governance council regarding the operational and instructional audit, the turnaround plan, and monitoring the implementation of the plans. Following the operations and instructional audit, the school selected to participate in the commissioner network schools. The turnaround committee shall develop a turnaround plan for such school. School governance council for each turnaround school may recommend to the turnaround committee for the district one of the turnaround models described in subparagraph A to E. And I'll stop reading there because the relevant and school governance council value education. This is important because we just voted in for one school, Bassick High School, to go into the commissioners network, and they still lack a school governance council. Have they been given any supports to get the school governance council up and running? Because I know they struggle as well with the PAC PTSO as well, correct, Mr. Benahan?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. And if you could just the second page, scroll to the second page, please. Yes. And that's the language I was referring to. Public Act 12-16. And now, we don't want to jeopardize our standing or break the law in participating in the commission network by not having a school governance council participate in these things, or just create a situation where a rubber stamp might just be put. So this needs to be in place very quickly for Bassick High School. And I don't know, this was mentioned at the board meeting where Bassick presented. And has there been any progress made at Bassick in getting a school governance council?
That's something I'm not aware of, an update on that, but I can definitely speak to Dr. Baldwin tomorrow, since that's her school, and see if support is needed, what the progress is, and.
And I know the hardest part of school, that's my inception into the board is school governance councils. And the hardest part we've always found was community and community partners. And I've had people from PT Partners reach out. That's their area right over there. And they're very active in the community. So I'm sure if somebody would send them a simple email or something, they would be able to find us the two people to populate that.
Okay.
And I think the teachers would also be easy to get because talking about turnaround models possibly affecting their careers. That should be very easy. I mean, simple phone call to the union. You're going to be changing something in your school. Can you get us a couple of members to sit on this committee? I mean, it doesn't seem like really something that would be hard to do, especially with a school possibly facing turnaround and any of these models, which will affect teachers' careers and the community.
Can definitely speak to Dr. Baldwin and see if I can get an update on what supports we might need.
Thank you.
I would appreciate it. Mr. Lombard, you have any question, any comments about this?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I don't have any comments.
Mr.
No,
Bana?
no question.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that. I appreciate that.
No worries.
And I'm not leaving it. I'm gonna check this, and anything I will email you, because I know it's a lot of update. Like I told you, I know you cannot be busy in all the school to figure out who's the leader. But right now in the update is a lot. It's a lot that something I don't want to keep repeating the same thing and everything, but we don't have no leaders. I don't know why the principals, and I know Mr. Plana, if you want to send and talk to the executive director, to please sure they send the update to Ms. Rocha, who are the leaders for the school. They're not telling them to repeat the same thing when they're not, and they send the same document to Ms. Rocha. So Ms. Rocha don't have no choice, to print it and send it to us. Because trust me, that I go and I called them and I said, no, he's not here no more. So I feel like they're lying to us. And they lying to us, and then they don't like what Mr. Benehan sent an email. So I believe so far that's your report, Ms. Rocha.
Yes.
Something fast. Thank you, Ms. Rocha. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
Thank you.
Next in the agenda is number 7, Department of Nutrition update of Parents Committee. Is online.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening, sir. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you. Just give me
The
one
floor
moment.
the floor is yours.
Just give me one moment. Let me pull. All right, so I wanted to bring to the board, to the committee, that I'm ready to establish the Parents and Community Committee, and we just need to understand what exactly the committee is looking for. So I was thinking that we should start with 6 members, including the food and nutrition director or the assistant. Meetings held once a month via Teams. And I feel like this way we could develop lines of communication to the students and the parents about the school nutrition operations, regulations, and menu updates. So the next couple slides are just some school nutrition standards that I've attached just for the committee if we decide to start it today. And then some more expectations are, with this committee, I'm hoping that we can encourage the students to try a variety of fruits and vegetables. The reason why is because to have reimbursable meals and to give them a better quality of lunch, we need to make sure these meals are reimbursable. So giving them these options and getting this out to the parents about different types of vegetables and fruits that we can offer, I feel that with this committee, it'll help us get the word out. Sorry. Okay. So with the committee, I know there's going to be a lot of positive and negative comments. So I just want us to take into consideration that all schools and the cafeterias have different types of service. So with any of the comments, we should also come with what that school is so we can determine whether it is quality of food or whether it's the type of service, and maybe we need to work on the times. Oops. And so if we did start the committee, I did want to have a kickoff meeting, and we're having a food tasting Wednesday, April 5th at the Nutrition Center at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be with Land O'Lakes. They're bringing in a special chef, Usually, a lot of vendors, they'll do this every year to try to sell us some items that we can offer in the schools. So they're bringing in, excuse me, they're going to bring a lot of items, try some recipes out. These are just a couple examples. There are going to be some more. They're going to come with some vegan options and some dairy-free options. Any questions?
So the one that said Mexican corn and GC Tika Masai, that's that's one of the samples they're gonna bring?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very glad that you bring this because I know the students, they would love to take something different, see something different. As we have a before years back, I report you in my last meeting that kids have like taco, they have nachos, they are wrap, they got some sandwich. Everything was healthy. Everything was, that the way it is, that the process, the protocol. But when kids they see something different, they enjoy more. They love it. Question: the testing for the April 5th, 2023. It's gonna be for everyone. Or it's gonna be or only for parents. How that day gonna work?
So that day, I'm actually already having it at the nutrition center. So I'm hoping if we start the committee, that could be our first meeting and kind of introduction into what we're doing at the nutrition center, and they can ask any questions and anything they want to know about what's going to be on the menu. I think that would be a good kickoff if we can get the committee going by then.
So I don't know, Ms. Brown, question for you as a chairperson. It will be good send this information out to the school so they can share with the PAC leaders or only or parents they can come that day to taste the food, or it's gonna be only for the PAC leaders. So of course, because I don't want, and they see a sample, they show up 200, 300 parents. So I want to know how
I would
we do this.
Mr. Kioma, did you want to finish your statement?
I was going to say I would suggest this just be limited to committee or a small group, nothing too big, because it's not something where they're expecting over 25 people. And
Okay.
that's so
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mr. Benningham, maybe then it's best that we don't send it out throughout the district.
Okay. Okay. So maybe we can pick, well, I have a list, some parents, they want to be part of this committee. They care. I know both members, they want to be part too, as me. I know the Just Talk Club, can be there to taste the food. Mr. Lamar, I know you would love to take the food, but you're far away. I have the list. Maybe I can give you the list of the PAC leaders. They have few, and then you can contact them so they can register with you, confirm with you they're gonna be this day. Are you okay with that, Ms. Brown?
Say it again, Mr. Benningham.
But I said I have a list for PAC leaders and parents. They want to be part of this committee. They always ask me, so I can, like I said, I can send it to the gentleman here so he can have the list of the parents. So maybe he can email them so they can register and confirm they can come to this day. Like you said, limits.
Okay, my thing is, as long as your committee is okay with it and there's a process, I see no wrong with it, but I just want to, if your committee members have any thoughts about the process in order to help move this forward.
Okay. It's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see a problem. We're leaving out one group, students. We should maybe invite.
I know. We invite students. Yeah,
definitely. Maybe especially the student representatives of the board, because they could actually taste the food and report back to us sitting on the board what they experienced and what they tasted, and perhaps a couple.
Yeah, that would be good, Ms. Brown. What do you think? The student when they come into board education, for each school and high school, they can come to this tasting, and then they can bring the information out to us, to the schools.
I see no problem with it. I do agree with Mr. Sokolovic. The students is a very, very important, very, very important role in this. So I definitely agree. Whatever process the committee comes up with, I hope that it would include them as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Lamar, you have any question or concern? Comments?
No, I'm just learning about this a bit more now, so I'm just listening. Thank you.
Mr. Plana? No question. So I was saying I would like us tell Ms. Perry, right, so you can let them know the student rep. Come this day, right?
Yeah, it just send out an email or just for all of them or whatever.
Anything else to say? There you go. He's still here. Yeah.
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh.
No, so like I said, this is really just an overview of what I'm hoping you would want from the committee, where it's not only about tasting food, but just getting to know what the nutrition program is and all the health standards and USDA guidelines. But with the tasting, like I said, it's very small, 25 max, and it's just they're just trying to sell us some cheese and some new products. So I'm just extending this offer to you just as a opening to the committee.
Good. I really appreciate that. And I was waiting for this day, have the parents committed, so at least parents, they can know how we are working, to be sure our kids, eat healthy. And the most important thing is I don't like to be wasting, food, because every time I don't like to see food in the garbage. I want kids enjoy and then eat it. I know some kids, they don't have no choice. Sometimes they throw it away. Trust me, I see that bag something in the cafeteria, it break my heart, because I know we have people in the street that still waiting for eat something. Some students, they don't eat something after the school is done. They don't know if they're going to have a hot a meal when they get home. And that break my heart. It break my heart. So I want the students, to enjoy very good. Ms. Brown, you have the hands up?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so I know you said there's a registration, well, Mr. Benham, you talked about a registration. Is there some type of a survey, Mr. Kiuma, that they're gonna be doing so that you have an idea of the results of the tasting?
Yes, we'll have a survey ready by the time of the tasting. I actually just got the date today from Land O'Lakes, so we'll have it ready by then.
Okay, and could those results be shared with the Students and Families Committee or to the full board, or before anything is moved forward? I guess we just want to know like how it went out, how it happened, and what was the thoughts behind it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. And we're just tasting some ideas that they have, and we may not even go with them, but they're just bringing in the chef and just trying to show us other ways to utilize the products we already purchase.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, when I do my report and board and meeting board education, when I say my day, I will share, with you guys, so do the whole board, that day, how delicious it's gonna be. The picture looked delicious, but I want to taste it, so I can say it's okay. Mr. Lamar, you have any comments, something to say before I move on the next agenda?
No, thank you.
No, sir.
All right, thank you so much. And I appreciate your presentation, and we will be talking soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next on the agenda, we have number 8, discussion of forming a district parents handbook. Mr. Plana, please.
Yep, I'll be reporting on that. I researched this item throughout the different minutes, and noticed that a comment was made by Mr. Testani during the March 17th, 2022 not teaching and learning, but this committee, the Students and Families Committee, regarding his interest to form a committee and draft a short handbook for parents. At that time, he was speaking about issues with the Title I funds and engagement. He was talking about a short handbook to help parents on an operational
things that will be helpful. He was discussing regarding IEPs and how he found some things that were unacceptable, and should not be acceptable to parents. And so he talked about a handbook to empower mandates and to give information on who to contact in this regards. That was our old, our ex superintendent. After this meeting, there was no other conversation or no other movement in regards to this this topic. We haven't found any information in this regards. I made our interim superintendent aware of this item this morning, and he basically stated that she will be looking to see if there's any past files or anything like that, in order to do something or to move on it. No further information I have available at this time. Nothing has been found as of yet in regards to the handbook or even the formation of the committee.
Mr. Lombard, you have anything to say or any comments?
Yes, I think it would be a useful tool for any parent, either new to the district or veteran of the district, to have a localized resource, localized source where they could turn to for information about, you name it, about anything that would involve their either their ability to participate or to understand how to respond to things or how to navigate things and policies. I wouldn't want to call it a handbook, though. To me, a handbook sounds like rules and regulations. That is the last thing I want to give a parent. I would say a guidebook or a help book, maybe. Here's a parent help book. Something like that. This is a resource for you, and maybe even for you, by you. A little bit of their participation in making it. It could have things about PTSO, PAC. It could have things about busing. It could have things about bad weather. It could have things about volunteer opportunities. You name it. I think it's a great idea. And once again, although I'm thinking of a number of things, including cost, I think it should also be available electronically, something that they could access from anywhere at any time and easy to find through an index, go right where they want to go to with hyperlinks and everything else. It could have links to other things, to other websites. They could have all kinds of information. They could have links to where there's state scores and test results and all sorts of things that a particular parent might actually dive into. Another parent may not look at it at all. But I guess my long-winded answer or comment is I think it's a good idea to do something like this.
Thank you, Mr. Lombard, and I agree with you 100%. Yeah, and I agree that we do need to call a handbook. We can call another name so parents they can say, oh look, I got this is the book. They have a lot of information for the parents. They can search whatever they like, and they have to understand protocol, policy, to what we have in the schools. I know we got a volunteer policy too. So it's a lot. So, but I agree with you. Ms. Brown, you have your hands up. Your floor is yours.
Oh, sorry, it's been up from the last comment. But I remember when this was brought up to discussion during your committee last year. I definitely agree that this is something that's needed. I remember us talking about this and the fact that a lot of the parents are not sure what to expect as they're joining the PAC or the PTSO. I think this would help outline that for them, and also it could possibly answer any of the questions that they may have, but also encourage them to tell other parents. So if they're already involved, there may be parents that may be on the fence of whether or not they want to be involved and what that looks like. Because you mentioned earlier that this is a huge responsibility for parents, even though they have the support of the principal and other staff. But I think outlining that for them and, kind of guiding them and also to providing any resources that they may need within that, if it's a packet, a booklet or documents or whatever you want to call it, ebook, just giving them the opportunity to be able to learn and feel supported. So I definitely agree with this. I believe this is something that's definitely needed. Just from hearing some of the PAC concerns from the previous meetings, I think it's helpful, and I look forward to seeing what comes of this.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Appreciate it. And Mr. Joseph.
I think Mr. Planas has something.
Oh, have something to say, Ms. Brown.
I have a wondering, and as I was researching this, I remember that we worked on updating our website in order to have a lot of the information that parents might need and seek for. Because as I was thinking about what this handbook might have, I started thinking about how lengthy it might get after a while. You know, just the special ed section could be about 100 pages long, because there's so much stuff out there that that parents need to know. But when you go to our website, you have the departments, and in each department you have specific information. And so I'm wondering, I was not privy to that discussion, but I wonder, because we redid our website, and I wonder if that was what came about as in result to this discussion, the update of our website, so that everyone has access to it. So that's just as I researched, that's what I found.
That's a great, I'm very glad you're going to be part of the committee. So you can help us. I know you said, oh my God, he asked me something else. my agenda is so full, but it's a good idea, it's struggling.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off that last comment because it's going right where I said. So speaking of full agendas, does staff have the capacity to take this on? The reason I ask is because we've got plenty of Title I funds that could perhaps be used to contract that out, and it's a big job for a staff to take on with a lot of stuff on their plate, but not such a big job that would have to be something that goes out to bid to create. So I think maybe it would be best, Mr. Bennett and the rest of the committee, I don't know how you feel, is to maybe get somebody from the outside to come in and create it, so staff doesn't have to get off their other tasks and they could be totally dedicated to it. Because we got a lot of money set on the table in Title I funding, as you know, that's been accumulating, and that would be definitely a proper use of the Title I funding. And whatever handbook they come up with, speaking to Mr. Planus's point of all the links in a redistributed website, and it could be a lengthy book. We could have small sections, like special education. You've got certain rights, and then include the hyperlink to that section of the website. Because I know even when I'm researching something, I got to look here, I got to look there, I got to find out where it is. But if there's a link for special education, parents' involvement, that won't be too lengthy, but the lengthier portions could have a link to even link to state statutes and all that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something maybe a outside person might be able to do without all the other responsibilities of the school district. I don't know how everybody feels about that.
I have a comment.
Mr. Lombard, I know you want to say something.
Thank you. So something that's coming to my mind as I was thinking, Mr. Planas was speaking, Mr. Sokolovic was speaking, I really could almost envision the quote unquote handbook really being a very well organized table of contents, which points to the different things that's already exists on our webpage. It's like a very well thought out, maybe even an outside company would have the best vision for that, but where we say these are the specific topics that we believe would be of interest to parents, and most likely all of those topics exist in some way, shape, or form, maybe not all, but already on the website. So in a way, the icon on the homepage for Parent Handbook, or whatever you want to call it, could go to essentially a table of contents that points to things that have already been created, already have been written. Doesn't need to be all these paragraphs written about particular topics when they already exist. It'd be a good opportunity for us to continue to look at our own website, but then there may be things which point to outside of the website. But I really feel like there doesn't have to be much deep thought given to the writing of the handbook, but more to the organization of it. What should be there? How should it be presented? And again, that may very well be best done by professionals, but I feel like we have everything already. Maybe we don't, and then we'll find that out, and then we'll know we have to create it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of literature that reads, but it could be more a tool. That's just a thought that I have after our conversations. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardi. Ms. Jessup?
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if it was part of that conversation. I think we also spoke about creating a video for the PAC PTSOs, to welcome new members, to have a brief breakdown of the responsibilities and all that. I don't know if we ever did that. If we ever considered that further.
I believe we talked about, we never did it yet.
Because that could probably go hand in hand with the guidebook, and it could be mentioned in the guidebook.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another, I wouldn't suggest it as a staff task. It's a small task for one person, but it's not a small task for one person who has 100 different other tasks. So I'm just throwing it out there because
no.
I think our staff is probably overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And the Title I money does need to be spent on parent allocations, and this is probably a perfect use for it.
Good. Okay,
Sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah. Ms. Brown?
Nope, I don't have any other comments, but to say that I understand what everyone is sharing. And I think definitely in some way or another to make this accessible to parents is definitely going to be beneficial as we move forward with trying to build stronger PACs and PTSOs. So, yeah.
Thank you. So I would like to suggest, let's see, for the next month, we can have at least trying to start how to do it. And as Mr. Lombard said, trying to go how we can call not put a handbook. What was the name you say, Mr. Lombard?
Well, I was thinking help book. I also said guidebook, but I don't know if that's what it is. But, I know it doesn't roll off the tongue, but I think it's kind of catchy at the same time. A parent help book or guidebook.
Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Lombard.
I think you need to have a committee to.
Yeah, no, you got to run the committee, yeah.
And if we're talking about next month, I mean, there's some time off during that time also.
I know.
So we're only talking about maybe 2-3 weeks from now. It's a very short time to bring something out like this. This is going to take some time unless we have a dedicated person that is working on this directly. So it's an important lift, but it's a heavy one. And like Mr. Sokolovic said, I mean, all the staff have full plates. So
of course, yeah.
So we need to ensure that a committee, if you're going to do something like this, that a committee is formed so that work is divvied up, or that we could hire someone to do that directly, and that then has to go through Marlene Siegel to see if the possibility of that. So
yeah,
I have a suggestion because I don't think we have a rush, so we could do this with a lot of thought. I think that input from the PTSO, from representatives from each school about what they think would be helpful to have in the book, just even a survey, go out, a survey monkey or something to say what things, if there were such a book, what things do you think would be helpful to have? And so we have that information of where to start, and then we could of course add to it as much as needed. But I think that would be helpful to get their input.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ms. Lombard. Yes, Ms. Brown.
Can I also add too? Because is this something that we want to send out to all parents? Correct?
Yes.
So what we did for the ad hoc district branding committee can probably be something we do for this as well, to get maybe some feedback. And this can be, even though they did like a poll for our specific committee, this can be one where parents can actually write down some thoughts or ideas that they would like to see about the handbook. IT, I would say, I personally think they did a good job at handling that one. Maybe we can get some feedback from parents that way as well. This is just to Mr. Lombard's point about doing, possibly a survey monkey, but we actually have a survey tool that we do on our website that could probably assist in this. So, maybe Mr. Planes and, this committee can come up with maybe some an outline, and then the parents will be able to provide their feedback for the survey.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ms. Brown and Mr. Lombard. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, and I don't want you to feel because you say short time. I say next month. There cannot be next month. There can be in March.
No,
we're not like
no.
Lombard said. We're not have so many things that we're trying to bring it to the table little by little. But I'm agree with what you said, Ms. Brown, that as soon as we can do a survey. And Mr. Lombard, you said PAC and PTA, so asking questions stuff like that. So and then later we can bring everything on the table, and then we decide how to do everything.
Yep, that's all.
Yeah. I don't want you, Ms. Brown, to get crazy like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I know you have your agenda is too full. All right, thank you. The next thing in number 9, I'm gonna do an agenda is a special education advisor council. Who have you have it on, please?
Yeah, I have a report that Ms. Johnson sent me.
Okay.
She basically said that on November 16th, that she shared with the committee that we do not have a special education advisory council in place. She mentioned that she submitted a report in advance of the meeting in that regard. The department has decided that in lieu of establishing a council to partner with the parent engagement group to develop a more inclusive and supporting school environment. And she mentioned that she had attended the November and December meeting so far. So she mentioned that I should relay that to the committee and use that report.
Yeah, and anything to say about all that, Mr. Lombard?
No. Not at this time, thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I'm all set.
Mr. Jessup?
Nothing. Thank you.
So that the Special Education Advising Council, first of all, like I said, we had to have a committee, stuff like that. And I will bring you that for my next item number 10, because I know the parents will be, I have a bunch of parents that will be involved in some committee, in some events and stuff like that. And I already talked to them to be sure they're part, like at the handbook, be part in this committee, special education, and they're very ready to work to start a committee. Like I say, always parents involved, and I want parents involved so they can know they can help us. So I would be working with that. So just let him know, Ms. Johnson, that I will have a committee to work with that. So and anything when we have that meeting with the committee, I will let her know, invite her so that she can come and listen to her, her concerns. So the last one on the agenda number 10 is parent convention and district pack update. I'm going to give you that a little information. I really researched and I really spoke with some parents about the committee, and this is what I'm talking about to the parent convention, because I know we got we talked about the last time we had $31,000 we had to spend, and now I don't want that $31,000 get we lost that money. I really spoke of some few people. The same parents, they are part of this committee about the parent for the parent convention. It will be the parent, the same one for the district pack. It's gonna be the same parents. We're gonna talk about the special education. They want to be involved. So that's the good thing. They're very strong leaders. I'm talking about elementary school and the high schools. So far, they know and they give me permission to get some information for the parent convention. I know we're working with a district pack, but right now, we decide that our priority right now is the parent convention because time goes so fast. We've almost done. I can say we half of this month, and I really contact Marriott Hotel, Trumbull. And then I spoke with one of the managers over there. They give me some information because I tell them, give me some information, the venue, the rooms, how many people we can have and everything. I can share with you. Committee, I have it in my hand. They send me everything what I need. You can see that, Joe. And so far, I believe next week I'm going to sit down with the committee to see how we can have a meeting with the people for the Marriott Hotel. They have a package. When I say they have a package, we don't want that. We did it like 2 years ago. We did it in Housatonic College that have people bringing the food, have another people bringing the breakfast. It was okay, but it was a little rushing. Doing in a hotel, they have everything. I believe you guys they know they have breakfast, they have lunch, they have the rooms for the workshops, they have the for presentation, they have a capacity. They have a room that can be between 700 1,000 people. Of course, we're not gonna take 700 1,000 people, but so far we are working with the parent for the parent convention. It's gonna be the 49 years, and I'm calling all the parents. I'm calling all the leaders to be sure they can come that day. We try to do it in maybe the last week of May. If not, can make it let's say May. We try in June. But Ms. Brown, now you be here online. I would need someone be part of this parent convention, one of the executive board. I don't know who you can speak with Ms. Perrin to see who can guide. Then why is that person? But that person I need it because that person will be in charge. Let's see to sign the checks or send them the process, the money, all that. We did it years back, but we have somebody from one of the executive board directors.
So, okay. Oh, so you're not talking about us as board members, Miss Parent staff?
No, we
can't.
No, we can't. Us, the board member, we can't.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so someone from Miss Parent staff.
Yes, they have to
Okay.
be. They in charge because let's see. Listen, let's give the Marriott Hotel. They really give a good package, so that person in contact whoever's in charge for the Marriott Hotel, and that they make the process of the payments and everything. Who signed the checks? Who's giving the permission? Because coming, it's coming to with Marlene Siegel. So Marlene Siegel, they can speak with the executive director.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll meet with Miss Perrin and to have her, provide an option of who would that person be. And report back to, either I or she will report back on who the representation will be.
Yeah, sound good. Mr. Lombard, you have any comment or question about this?
No, I'm not familiar with all that goes into the convention and everything, so I'm just going to keep listening and learning.
It's pretty cool, Mr. Lombard, even though Mr. Bennett had never really invited me to one, but okay.
Oh my God. That's not true, Ms. Brown. That's not true. Yeah. But I hope, this one is going to be awesome because I really search and I really have thanks to one of the state rep, Mr. Rosario. They give me the personal secretary from Cordova. Miguel Cardona? Cardona. Yeah, Miguel Cardona. He's the
Dr. Cardona.
Yeah, Dr. Cardona, and trying to bring him as a keynote speaker. And he said yes, it's gonna be us, have a person. He's the
He's the Secretary of Education.
he's the Secretary of Education here in the United States. So he likes to be involved with parents. So I really have a form that can share with you guys later that I'm telling you it's like around 10 page. Why, who, when, who, this, that. Why the reason, who's gonna be who's gonna talk to him, who's gonna be next to him. It's a process. It's a process. So I'm really trying to see next week I can send that form. So because it's a process to be sure he's gonna say yes or no, he can come. Sokolov, you have the floor?
Yeah, a couple of considerations I want to keep in mind is we never had this much money, so the issue probably never came up. We've got to be mindful of the purchasing ordinances in the city of Bridgeport, because if this venue is going to be over, and we got to keep the cost within the constraints of what we need to do. Because if we have to go out to bid for something, perhaps if it's over, was it $25,000?
Yeah.
Timeline. So we're going to have to probably keep that into where we got to get the number for 3 bids or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Right. We've never had that big of an expenditure.
Well, when I was the chair for two parent convention, you know that we never did that. We only
Really?
It's, yeah, we never did
Oh,
that.
so
If let's say we got this menu and they say yes, they approve it. Not like our own pack and PTSO. If you go over $1,000, you have to have 3
Right.
quotes. With this one now. So because I already, I already asked and they say no. So I hope not. We'll never know.
Oh,
It can
so
change. But I agree
just
with
watch
you
out.
that can I watch out. I need to find out with Marlene Siegel to see, if she can say no, maximum, let's see, it's $25,000. If they go over, you have to get another quote. It's gonna be
Right. And also, this might be a great opportunity to hold the district PAC elections
yeah.
at the convention itself.
Yeah.
Make sure, it'd be great to do it before that, but
Yeah.
this is gonna be a time when all parents
Yeah.
who are actually active will be in one place. I mean, we send it out to everybody and we have, please come vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm trying to do when I have the first meeting with the committee about this. All these parents gonna show up. I'm gonna do that district PAC election at the same time.
Awesome.
So it's like
That works.
everything doing so we don't be behind.
Right. Oh, that would be great, because
Yeah.
definitely need to get that.
Yeah, I know.
Got to get it.
Mr. Lombard, I know you want to say something.
Yeah, I just have some questions about the budget and the purpose. So you mentioned about there being $32,000 around, and of course, money that's not spent is left on the table and is not available. Doesn't get used, doesn't get carried over. Is that correct?
I didn't hear you very clear. Say it again, please.
So if the money is not spent, it will be lost.
Well, for years, it was $9,000, $9,000, $9,000. So far, this year, Marlene Siegel, she don't say nothing. If you don't use it, we can lose. But I don't want to risk that thing. So maybe I can ask her to see if something happened, we don't use it. Are we gonna save it for next year? Or maybe she can say no. If you don't use it this year, you're gonna lose the money, and we don't want that.
Yeah, I think that would be good to know that at least, because you don't want to be pressured to spend money just for the sake of spending money, especially but if it will be lost, that's a different story. And then if it were to be lost, are there any other places where money can be spent as well, or is it just the last thing?
To tell you the truth, you say if we don't do the parent convention, we can use it for something else.
No. I'm saying that if the money were to be lost, if it wasn't spent, does it all have to be spent on the PAC convention, or could it be spent on the PAC convention and on something else?
They're always doing for the PAC convention.
So it's all earmarked for the PAC convention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly, this is going to be the 49 years. So it's always up for a parent convention. It was a lot. Years back, we were talking about $30,000. $30,000. And it was doing on Holiday Inn over in downtown. And now look how down they would go for $9,000. But we got 31,000 because, about the COVID, remember we was going to cancel. But this year, I agree with you. I'm going to email Ms. Marlene Siegel to see what's going on if we don't use it. If we got to use them or not.
Especially since next year will be 50 years. If there was ability to carry some money over, so it'll be a bigger convention next year, just as a thought for budgeting the money. And then I guess the only other thing I was thinking is, all depending upon that, how much has to be spent or needs to be spent. You mentioned it's been done in past years in the Holiday Inn. It was done in Housatonic. Has it ever been? Before I ask that, so for the parents, is this specifically people who are parent leaders, or is it for just any parent?
They are parent leaders here from Bridgeport, for each school.
So that's this is a convention for the parent leaders?
Yeah, from Bridgeport School. Yeah, here. And after that, we invite leaders, state rep, mayor, board of education is there, our superintendent, about 2 years I was there, 2 years in a row, I was the chair. Thank God my board members show up and the mayor show up, state rep show up, because you know how I am. especially with my emails and phone calls and text message. They came and it was very successful. It was amazing. So this year, I'm trying to have this committee trying to do the same thing and I'm trying to guide them. I really have for 2 years in a row. I have the Title I Book Parent Convention. I have it, so I give it to them so they can guide them for them.
And around how large is the attendance typically? About, because you said nowhere near 700 to 1,000, but around.
No. So far, last time we have 350 parents show up.
Okay, that's pretty good size.
That's not including the leaders in city council, stuff like, and they got tables, they reserve tables and stuff like that. And the parent leader for each school, what I did last year, they do a centerpiece represent your school. Yeah, it was amazing. It was very good. That means Brown, they don't come. But I hope this year, Mr. Lombard, I hope this year at least you can make it so you can be here with us.
I do too. I hope so too. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lombard. You have any concern, anything Ms. Brown to say?
Whenever the date is, I will be there, even if you don't invite me, Albert.
You will be invited, Ms. Chair. Mr. Joseph, you have something?
Yeah, I'll be there as well, definitely. As far as Mr. Lombard's concerned, I think there's some federal regulations that we got to get at least the years. I don't even remember how many years we're backed up now. I think we're backed up almost close to 4 years now, right? On the funds.
Something, yeah.
And we were lucky to get it rolled over in the first couple because it almost didn't happen.
Yep.
But because we were so loud and insistent that it did happen, but that can only carry us so far. And the parent convention is a great highlight of the work that's done, and it gets a lot of attention. It gets the politicians out because there's a lot of voters in one place, and we can make our pitch for more funding for.
Yeah. So I just let you know for now, Ms. Brown, to be sure you'll be ready because you as a chairperson, you have to speak that day. So it's not, doesn't matter if I don't invite you or not, you have to be there.
All right, I'm working on my speech.
Anything to say? We all said so. Thank you very much for everyone. That's the last thing for the agenda. We appreciate that your committee. Thank you, Ms. Bobby, to be always here for us support. I really appreciate that, Mr. Prana. Thank you always. IT and thank you for being here. Sam, thank you for always support. Mr. Joe, thank you for always support. And Mr. Ingeresto and the rest of the people was here early. I would appreciate that and I respect that. That is the way I want to bring the communication out that we're working as a family, we're working as a team, and the best priority is our parents and the students. So I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you. I say thank you everyone. Good night. I appreciate that. So the meeting is done. Right now what time is it? It's 8:51 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
I vote aye to adjourn.
Everybody, aye, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone. God bless you all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Espérate. Ángel.
Está más malo que
Ángel. Ponen al frente de la cámara.